Iran retaliating, launching missiles toward Israel following Israeli strikes that the IDF says targeted a number of Iran's military and nuclear facilities. Israel's police say rockets and shrapnel killed one woman and wounded several others in a town near Tel Aviv. Eyewitness News reporter Michelle Fisher following the escalating conflict tonight. Michelle.
Well, Mark, tonight the Israel Defense Forces tell ABC News these attacks are expected to last for several days, maybe even weeks. That same message from Iran also saying today this is just the beginning of its, quote, crushing response. Air defense system interceptions over Tel Aviv Friday as missiles lit up the night sky amid Iran's counterstrikes, which are now underway. According to ABC News, U.S. land and sea assets are helping Israel shoot down Iranian missiles.
It wouldn't be an overstatement to say that the cooperation between Israel and the U.S. has saved lives.
Some of Iran's missiles making it through to their intended targets. Israeli emergency services saying there are reports of injuries. The barrage coming after Israel launched what it called preemptive strikes on Iran early Friday. More than 200 Israeli aircraft striking some 100 targets in its largest military operation in almost 60 years. Israelis also releasing this video, which they say shows operatives from the Mossad intelligence agency who smuggled explosive drones and equipment into Iran.
We are in the 11th hour. We had to operate before it's too late, before they have weapons of mass destruction, and that's exactly what we did.
Israeli missiles striking Iran's main nuclear enrichment site, one of several nuclear facilities hit. Several of Iran's military leaders and scientists killed, including the chief of staff of the armed forces and the head of the ballistic missile program.
They've used the Hezbollah playbook where they're taking out all of the top leadership within the military, haven't touched the regime yet.
Iran's ambassador to the UN says 80 civilians have been killed, the majority of them women and children. Demonstrators filling the streets of Tehran, some in the crowd chanting death to Israel and death to America. President Donald Trump, who had been in the middle of ongoing nuclear talks today, writing on Truth Social, 2 months ago I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to make a deal. They should have done it. Today is 61. I told them what to do. They just didn't get there. Now they have perhaps a second chance. And as this situation continues to escalate, we know that right now there are about 40,000 U.S. troops based in the Middle East region. That number typically around 30,000. President Donald Trump did meet with his National Security Council today to discuss the options. Mark?
Michelle Fisher, thank you.
All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Chakmadash. Giving double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Peace and salutations to the Akim, the brethren out there on the highways and byways pushing this truth to 100% sincerity. And peace and salutations to the few and sincere sisters who do believe in this gospel. So this lesson is going to be entitled Conflict in the Middle East and Prophecy Coming to Pass. So as we know, the news that happened over this past week, Friday, I believe, actually, Thursday night, going into Friday, Israel had attacked Iran, and over the weekend, Iran has been responding by retaliating with, launching missiles on Israel. And what we're seeing here is clearly prophecy coming to pass. And this is actually proven of a couple of things, right? This is proven that the men who have been prophesying with the truth, the 100% breakdown of the scriptures, right? Which we know that to be the men of Great Millstone. Right, breaking down the truth 100%. Those of us who are, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in this truth, what we've been saying is coming to pass. What we've been saying is actually happening, right? Secondly, this also proves that those so-called small hats over there in the land, those inhabitants over there in the land of Israel right now, are not the people, right? For a multitude of reasons. Isaiah 2:2, Micah 4, Jeremiah 23:8, right? Just to name a couple. These are just a couple of reasons or a couple of scriptures that are prophecies prophesying of what the world will be like when the true nation of Yasharahla will be back over in the land, and how they'll be brought back into the land as well, going into Jeremiah 23:8. But that's not what we're seeing today. We're seeing wars, rumors of wars. We're seeing Mark 13:7, right? Let's go here. We're seeing this come to pass instead, right? And it says, and ye shall, this is Mark chapter 13 and verse 7, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows, right? So we're seeing this prophecy come to pass. Wars, rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom, right? Earthquakes in diverse places. We're seeing these prophecies come to pass, but yet you have a group of people over there in that land, right? A group of Edomites who are the tribe of Amalek, right? Claiming to be the true nation of Yasharahla. And that's false. And we're seeing, based on how prophecy is playing out in the world right now, because the Bible is a living book. And if you want to know if the Bible is correct, you can just look out into the world. You can just look out and see what's happening, right? And tell that the Bible is a true and living book, right? And according to this true and living book, when the true nation of Yasharahla, when the Israelites, right, are back in their rightful land, back in their rightful heritage, there's going to be no more war, right? Pursuing to Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 on down, pursuing to Micah 4 and verse 1 on down, there's not going to be war anymore. There's not going to be war any longer among the nations, right? Definitely not among the people, especially definitely not among the Israelites. There's not going to be any more wars. Ain't going to be no more missiles dropping. Ain't going to be no more bombs dropping. Ain't nobody invading each other, right? As the scriptures say, they shall turn their swords into plowshares and pruning hooks, right? For what? For farming, to till the land. Because there's going to be what? There's going to be peace. There's going to be world peace under the rulership of the nation of Israel, right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 5. I'm going to start at verse 1, right? It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Right? Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Right? So this whole thing, this whole conflict that's going on right now and what's going to happen further down the road in the very near future. It's all about the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's all about, because the Lord has a controversy with these nations, with these heathen. And this is why all of these things are stirring up. This is all for the sake of the nation of Yasha Allah. Now, you people may be hearing this and think like, well, this ain't over no niggas. The war they fighting over there ain't over no niggas, right? Now, one of their political leaders over there, what did she say a couple of years ago? You can look it up. You know, she said the biggest threat to the state of Israel is the so-called, well, she didn't say so-called, but is the young black American youth, right? Why did she say that? Because young so-called black men, along with so-called Hispanics, you know, and the so-called Native Americans, are going out all across the world, but primarily Babylon the Great here in America, to prophesy the downfall of the kingdom of Esau and to prophesy that us, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, are the true Israelites spoken in the Bible. And that's why they say we're a threat, right? So this war that's going to happen, which, you know, World War III has already started. According to, I believe Russia said that. Salaki if I'm wrong on that, but I believe Russia, Putin had said World War III has already started, right? So World War III is going to be fought for the sake of the Israelites, because they know who we are. And now we're finding out who we are. You know, now in mass numbers, we're coming to the realization of who we are and that we're really the people. You know, as you know, Brother Arad always brings out, or has been bringing out lately, you know, Jacob is going to have to be mentioned. Jacob is going to have to be mentioned worldwide and in the media, in the news outlets, right? Because everybody is coming against these small hats. If you go and look at, you know, videos of some of these, you know, missiles hitting Tel Aviv, and you seeing videos of people taking shelter, you know, you got videos of a bunch of small hats, you know, running in the airport trying to leave the country. You know, that's another thing. That's not prophecy either. You know, that's not prophecy. There's no prophecy that says that we'll be brought back into the land, and then for the sake of war, we're gonna leave again. That ain't prophetic, right? But Jacob is going to have to be mentioned. They're going to have to. Oh, Salakia, I lost my train of thought. But if you look under the comments of those videos of these small hats fleeing and taking cover and taking shelter, the world has no remorse. The world has no sympathy for them. You know, the world is saying, well, they saying things like, well, y'all been doing it to the Palestinians. Y'all been doing the same thing to the people in Gaza. You know, this same thing, you know, what's happening to you is only a fraction of what y'all have done to God. And they're right. You know, they're absolutely right. People are not showing any sympathy for these people. Nobody's showing any sympathy for these people. So with that, Jacob is going to have to be mentioned. The true biblical Hebrew Israelites are going to have to be mentioned, right? And it's going to have to be discussed who's the true biblical Hebrew Israelite according to the Bible. You know, and that's when they're going to just go all out, because now the truth is out. And just as you know, we've seen We've seen in numerous videos the mentality of this Edomite. His mentality is, well, if I'm going down, we taking you with me. We taking the whole world with us. If we going down, everybody coming with us. Right? So that's his mentality. You know, so he's going to come after Jacob. He's going to try and completely wipe out the nation of Israel, right? But the Lord has a remnant. The Lord has a remnant preserved, and that he's going to preserve through that tribulation. And because this has happened before. This has happened during the time of Esther. This has happened during the time of the Maccabees, you know, where a decree was made to completely wipe out our nation. And it's never worked because the Lord has always protected us. The Lord has always given us a way to where we can escape those trials, right? But this is the last time, right? This is the last go around for that. You know, after this, because this time, this go around, you're going to come against us and you're going to end up losing your whole kingdom. Because Yahushua is going to come back and deliver us while simultaneously taking down your kingdom. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 34. I'm going to start at verse 4. And it says, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. And all the hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth from the vine, and as a falling fig from the tree. Right? Talking about nuclear missiles. That's how many nuclear missiles. Well, this is primarily talking about the nukes. Right? That's going to be falling down upon Babylon the Great, right? But we can see a preview of that with these missiles that are hitting Tel Aviv, because they look like, you know, stars falling from the heavens, right? They look like figs falling from the fig tree. Let me go and get that in Revelation chapter 6, right? Yeah, this is Revelation chapter 6 and verse 12. And it says, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, and when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places, right? This is the going in alignment with Isaiah 34. Right? It says, and the stars of heaven fell unto earth. Right? The stars, because when you look at what John the Revelator, when you look at what John the Revelator was seeing, and then when you look at those videos, they look like stars. Those missiles, you know, they look like stars. You know, stars falling from heaven, hitting the ground and exploding. But that's what John the Revelator was seeing. John the Revelator was seeing missiles falling from the sky, right? But these missiles, when they hit, these were actually the nukes. Because it says, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. He saw the mushroom cloud after those nukes hit. Right? The mushroom cloud looking like a scroll, you know, as it rises in the atmosphere. Right? So verse 5 in Isaiah 34, it says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, these Edomites, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made with fatness and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of kidneys and rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. Right? So Basra, the capital city of Edom, is likened unto Babylon the Great, because Babylon, or America, is the capital city of this Edomite kingdom right now. Right? So this place here in Babylon is going to be a sacrifice. It's going to be likened unto a giant altar. You know, and brothers have brought out, you know, you got, what's crazy is because America does have, you know, oil reserves within the land, but America, you know, we haven't tapped into it. You know, we haven't tapped into the oil in this land, right? And plus, America is a giant haven for coal. So this place is likened unto is a big, vast barbecue pit. You know, so this is where the lake of fire is going to be, right? Not from not from Basra over in the Middle East to I forgot what them niggas said, but that's not it's not a river, right? This is going to be the true lake of fire, right? It's the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 13. It says, "For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Behold the plagues," and this is talking about, those arrows are talking about ICBM nuclear missiles that are going to be shot from one end of the earth to the other. Right? Starting, you know, in Russia, China, Iran, Europe. Because they're all going to turn on Babylon the Great. Right? Verse 14, it says, "Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again." Right? So these nukes, they're not going to miss. They're going to hit their target. You know, they're not going to miss. You know, all of these things that are happening right now that we're seeing going on over in the Middle East is prophecy coming to pass, leading up to what? Leading up to World War III. Leading up to what? The MOTB, right? Because once the MOTB is made mandatory, then World War III is going to be full-fledged. You know? So look, this is all I got for this lesson. Lord willing, this was edifying. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachawadash. And until next time, Shalom.